Lesson 8.3, rhombuses, rectangles, and squares. There are three special types of parallelograms. A rhombus is a parallelogram with four congruent sides. All right, every side is congruent. Now, a rectangle is a parallelogram with four right angles. If you take both of those properties and you combine them, you get a square. All right, if you look at the diagram below, it's bringing all the parallelograms together. So here we just have some regular parallelograms, and here we have some more specific parallelograms. All the sides are congruent, that makes it a rhombus. All the angles here are right angles, so that makes it a rectangle. And if we bring the properties of a rhombus and a rectangle together, we have a square. Okay, now all the shapes are four-sided figures. Four-sided figures are quadrilaterals. It's R, that's an I. Okay. All right, so for example 1, find the value of the variable or variables for the indicated parallelogram. All right, part A, it's telling us that we have a rhombus here. And we know a rhombus is a parallelogram. Okay, so let's see, what do we have to work with here? I know the opposite angles are the same, so y is equal to 104. I know that these angles add up to 180, so 104 plus w is equal to 180. Subtract 104, and I have w is equal to 76. All right, and the next piece, I know that this is a rhombus once again, so all the sides are congruent. So I could say 3x is equal to x plus 8. Subtract x, and I get 2x is equal to 8. Divide by 2, and x is equal to 4. Done. All right, for the next one, it tells me I have a rectangle, and I know all of the angles of a rectangle are 90. So I could set 2y equal to 90, divide by 2, and y is equal to 45. Okay, and I know that this is a parallelogram, so the opposite sides are congruent. 2x plus 7 is equal to 15. Subtract 7, 2x is equal to 8. Divide by 2, and x is equal to 4. Done. All right, for the next one, I have a square. So I know all the sides are the same and all the angles are the same. These are all 90. So 5y is equal to 90. Divide by 5. How many times does 5 go into 90? 18 times. All right, and then I know all the sides are the same. So x over 3 is equal to 9. Multiply by 3 on both sides, and x is equal to 27. Done. All right, now I have more properties for a rhombus. Now a parallelogram is a rhombus if and only if its diagonals are perpendicular. All right, the diagonals of a rhombus are perpendicular. All right, and a parallelogram is a rhombus if and only if each diagonal bisects a pair of opposite angles. So the diagonals bisect the opposite angles. All right. And for the next one, properties of a rectangle. A parallelogram is a rectangle if and only if its diagonals are congruent. All right, so if the diagonals are congruent, I could put these symbols to show that diagonals are congruent, or maybe I'll just do one here using a different color. Okay, so let's apply some of these properties here. All right, example 2, find the value of the variables. A, B, C, D is a rhombus. Okay, it's a rhombus. Okay, so I have this diagonal here, and I know that it bisects the angles. So I have 78 there, so this is going to be 39, and that's 39. I know opposite angles are congruent, so this whole thing is 78. And since, once again, the diagonals bisect the angles, that's x is 39, and y will be 39. That's all there is to that. All right, for part B, it's a rectangle. Okay, I know this whole thing is 90. Okay, so if that's 72, this is 18. And, okay, I have this length here. Actually, before I work with the lengths, let's figure out why. I know that all of these sides are the same, all right, because it's a rectangle, or all these segments are the same. So I have an isosceles triangle here. That makes y 18. All right, so I have that. I still have to work with this information here. All right, so we have 8x minus 13, which is this whole thing here. I know that it's equal to BD, all right, because the diagonals are congruent. They're the same length for a rectangle. So 8x minus 13 is equal to 7x plus 11. All right, so let's just solve for x now. X minus 13 equals 11. Add 13. I get x is equal to 24. All right, sorry for the mess there. So this is 11. That's a plus symbol. Okay. ABCD is a square. All right, let's see what I have to work with here. Okay, I know the diagonals bisect each other. Remember that a square has the properties of both a rhombus and a rectangle. So the diagonals of a rhombus, they are perpendicular. So these are all 90-degree angles. X is equal to 90. And let's see, what else do I have to work with here? Okay, I know these angles are 90 degrees. Once again, it's a rhombus, so I know the diagonals bisect each angle. So 90 is cut in half. That's 45. That's 45. All right, so y is 45. Those are 45 degrees. Okay, now I need to figure out W. How am I going to do that? Well, I know that all of these lengths are the same. That's 5. That's 5. That's 5. Okay, so here I have this triangle, and I know that these angles are 45 degrees. So I have a 45, 45, 90. What do you multiply the leg by to get the hypotenuse? Square root of 2. Done. So drawing on our knowledge from the previous chapter, we'll be applying that in future problems. All right, example 3, find the indicated measures for the rhombus ABCD. Okay. All right, they tell me it's a rhombus, so AEB, AEB. I know that angle is 90 degrees because the diagonals are perpendicular to each other. Then I have BAE, BAE. That's this angle here. Well, I subtract 60 and 90 from 180, and what do I get? 30. Okay, and then measurement of DAE. All right, well, the diagonals bisect the opposite angles, so that has to be the same angle measure as the one right next to it. All right, they're the same. So that's 30 degrees. AE, what is AE equal to? Well, notice that I have a 30, 60, 90 triangle here. So you have to know your properties from the previous chapter. So I take the short leg, I multiply it by square root of 3, and that gives me the long leg. Then AB, I take the short leg, and I multiply it by 2, and I get the hypotenuse. And then BC, what is BC equal to? Well, I have a rhombus here, and I know that all the sides have the same length, so BC is equal to 8. All right, that's all there is to it. If you have any questions about any of the properties for a rhombus, rectangle, or square, please make sure to ask. Begin the assignment.